Hi guys and welcome back. In this video we'll learn about getting user input so that we can get some data from our users and use it in our programs. Let's start off by asking the user for their name so we can print it out. We will say name equals, and again this is us defining a variable. Now we have to tell the variable what its value is going to be. So what we're going to do here is we're going to ask the user for their name. And the way we do that in Python is we type input, then a pair of brackets, and inside the brackets we are going to type a question that will ask the user, or a prompt. So here goes a string where we put enter your name. So here we're calling another function, just like the print function, but in this case this function here will print this prompt out, and then it will wait for the user to type and press enter. Then we're going to print out the name. So I've run this code here, and you can see that we get asked to enter our name. I'm going to type here Rolf, and then Rolf comes back out. So this is how you can ask the user for their name, or indeed any other piece of data, and then use it in your programs. If you wanted to ask the user for a value that you want to do mathematics on, then there is something important to take into account when you're coding in Python, and that is that the input function always gives you back a string. So this input will ask the user for a value, and it will give you a string. Now remember that you can't do mathematics on strings in the same way that you can with numbers. So if you wanted to calculate the amount of square meters that is the equivalent to the size of their house in square feet, you would do size input divided by 10.8, that's more or less the right number, and then you can print square meters. But remember that you can't do maths that well. So if I save this and then I go ahead and run it, and I ask, for example, my size is 500 square feet, you're going to get an error. And you can see here that you've got a type error, and it says unsupported operand types for the division, string, and float. So what this is saying basically is that we've tried dividing a string by a float, and you can't do that. So we need to convert this into a number instead of a string. So what we've got to do is we have to first turn this size input into a number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define a variable called square feet, and I'm going to say int of size input. And what this is doing is it's doing something like what we had before. We are passing size input into another function, which is this int. And that is going to try to turn our string into an integer, a whole number, so that we can then do maths on it. Notice that here in our square meters line, we're still using size input, which is our string. If we want to make sure that we use the number, we must use this square feet variable that we've defined on line 2. Otherwise, that means we're still using the string. Let's save this and then run it. So here we've got this app running, and I'm going to type in 500, and now we get 46.3. So here's a small challenge for you. Try to print something a little bit nicer rather than just the square meters. For example, you could print something like this number of square feet is equal to this number of square meters. I'd recommend pausing the video and giving it a go, but I'll try and do it right now as well. We're going to use an F string, so I will type the F key and then the double quotation marks, and inside it I'm going to use my square feet variable and type square feet is square meters, square meters. Notice that this here is the variable that we want to put the value of inside our string. So we still have to say what that variable means. So for example, 500 square feet is 46 square meters. So if we run this again, you'll see that as soon as I type 500, we get a nicer input. 500 square feet is 46 square meters. If you want to format a floating point number so that you only get a certain number of digits at the end, you can do point2f, for example. So here what we've got is a slightly more obscure piece of syntax. We've got square meters, colon, point2f. And what that does is it will try to format this square meters with 2 decimal places only. This is what this piece of syntax means. So I'm going to save that, run it again. And now you see we get 46.30 square meters. If you want to learn more about this formatting syntax, I'm going to leave a link in the resources section of this lecture or on the description below so that you can have a read of that. But that's everything for this video. We've learned how to get user input and how to turn it into a number in case we need to do maths on it. Thanks for joining me in this one, and I'll see you in the next one.